So thanks for checking out this video, and this will be a semi-hollow PRS style build. It's my first semi-hollow guitar build, so this is my third total guitar, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to show video. A number of you enjoyed, or at least said that you enjoyed the pictures that I posted previously and the video I've showed. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to provide some videos and kind of show you the process of it. And this is just part one. There's multiple steps. It's going to take a while, but I thought I'd go ahead and start with this. What you're looking at are the raw materials for the guitar. Piece of mahogany for the body, big slab of maple, which actually I ended up not using for this guitar. I got a different piece of maple. In the back you see another piece of mahogany that will end up being the neck, and a piece of Baduke, and two pieces of maple, which will be part of the body as well. You'll see that in this video. And then lastly, the rosewood fretboard. So here I'm planing the mahogany board just to get it squared up, so I can have two parallel faces on it. And once I do that, I'll cut it to length and later run it through my joiner. I don't include that in this video, but just trying to square up the stock so that when I glue up everything is square and in line. I'm not really concerned about the final thickness at this point, because once I glue it up with the other pieces of maple and Baduke, I'm going to have to plane it some more. And at that point, I'll actually worry about the thickness of the material. But right now, I just want to square everything up, clean off the rough edges. And this is actually one of my, this usually starts off as one of my favorite parts of the guitar build, because it's just, there's something very satisfying about taking a really rough piece of material, running it through the joiner, and then getting a really nice, clean piece of stock. But as you'll see, and I'm fast forwarding, it gets a bit tedious pretty quickly, and at some point it can start to be a little bit tiring because you're lifting the board, running it through the planer, and doing that over and over again. So here I'm just putting some pencil marks all across the board, and that way when I run it through the planer, I'll see where it's taking off stock. I'll know if I need to run it through more often, or if I need to make any adjustments, anything of that nature. But again, it's just this long process of going over and over again, and eventually when it's flat, then I'll run it through the other way, but I won't torture you with that. So here I've got my miter saw and my new miter saw stand that I really like. Now that I've got the new stand, now I kind of want to get a new miter saw itself, because it's not living up to the stand. But the stand is amazing. It's so much easier to use than dragging out, when you pick up the miter saw and dragging it out of my garage. And again, this doesn't have to be precise. You'll see I have my template out, and I just want to make sure that I have enough material to have some leeway and not worry about cutting it too close, which I did on the first guitar build. Ended up having to alter the body shape. So here I'm really focused on just getting two roughly equal sizes of mahogany for the glue up, which I'll clean up later on. So here I've got the pieces of, actually those are pieces of ash. I eventually redid this with maple, but it's the same thing. I think those are the ash pieces. I may be wrong. They look like ash. I eventually used maple because the ash pieces weren't dimensioned as nicely and consistently as I wanted to, and I didn't feel like running them through the planer. So here's the pre-glue up with some great pipe clamps that I just put together from materials I got at Lowe's. I don't know how I missed out on pipe clamps before, but they're my new favorite tool in the toolbox. And as you see, once I've done this glue up, everything is out of square again. The Baduke and maple strips are proud of the top of the mahogany pieces, and that's why I didn't really worry about the thickness, the overall dimension when I was running through the planer before, because I knew I would have to do it again. It'll be thinner at the end of the piece of wood than it is in the other parts. So instead of doing that on the part I really care about, the planer will ride out the sacrificial piece, and it'll do it there. Although it wasn't necessarily a great idea to use that thin piece of plywood on top to fill in the gap, but it worked. But more planing. I think this entire wood and planer sled must have weighed 35, 40 pounds, maybe more, which isn't that bad until you lift it 50 times. I don't show all of that, but as you go through and plane and plane and plane, and then finally get to the surface you want, flip it over. You can see the plywood is tearing off pretty drastically, and it's not really bad. I just don't like it. It'd be better to just use the solid piece. Here you can see where I think I zoomed in here by showing how the hot glue really fills the gap. So you really want that wood to be stable on the planer sled. You don't want it to rock at all. And here's the final finished planed wood. Everything's dimensioned, and I think that's a beautiful piece of mahogany. You can see the Paduke and the maple strips. Very similar to that first guitar I built. This was going to be different though because it's semi-hollow, so it'll be hollow inside, and then you'll just see this wood from the back, and then I'll have a quilted maple top on the top. Quilted maple top on the top, of course. Again, just checking and rechecking to make sure that I have enough wood. So here I'm marking all the spots that I want to route out for the hollow spaces. I'm doing this because I tend to make mistakes and I forget and I route out the wrong thing because I think about other stuff and then I'll end up routing the pickup cavities, for example, and then realize I want to wait to do that until after I have the top and so on. You'll see I actually picked up the router and then I suddenly changed my mind and decided to go to the drill press and hog out big pieces of the mahogany with Forstner bits so that I can sort of save some time, save some of the sharpness of the router bit that I'm using. Oh, and don't forget safety goggles. And for us musicians, earplugs are essential. Here's the Forstner bit. Maybe it's a little sketchy to leave the template on the body. If I mess up the template, then I either got to make another one or find another one, purchase one. But I was willing to risk it. It wasn't that big a deal, and the Forstner bit doesn't drift very much on this drill press, so that could be pretty safe. I think I nicked it a couple times on the inside, but that doesn't matter because nobody will ever see that. I was really tempted to keep these mahogany shavings that came from this. They smell good. For some reason, I think they look nice. And I had a whole